Today, I'm going to do a portrait study of Charli xcx and an album review of her newest album, BRAT, released earlier this June, but that'll be in the second half of the video. So this photo is her artist icon and banner whenever you look into her profile on Apple Music, and every single time I looked at it, I just loved the colors, the tones it had, so I chose the photo. Here's the original photo, but then I cropped it a lot smaller and of course included her hands. But anyways, here's me starting with the sketch layer, trying to be very loose, using a medium brush. This stage is always exciting yet nerve-wracking. Everything looked fine until I got to sketching the face, and I realized because the face is so small, I'm gonna struggle to make it look like a lot like her. So I tried to do a second sketch layer using a smaller brush to make the face, the hands more clearer. But as I was finishing up the sketch, I didn't like it at all. So I had to I love the first layer more. It was just more fluid and it captured her. So here's me comparing the two to see which one I would use. And I decided with the first sketch layer, but later on when I get to the hands part, when I'm coloring them in, I'll use the second sketch layer to guide me. But this would be technically the second layer, just blocking in the shapes, simplifying the shadows. So I chose a mid-tone for the skin color. So I would layer on the lighter and darker tones later. And for me, ever since I started doing that, it just works so beautifully for me. I would recommend doing that instead of starting light to dark, but of course that's my opinion. But anyways, when I did this face, I was horrified. I wanted to use minimal brush strokes, trying to get into the habit. But the brush strokes, I don't know, they made her face look beaten up and swollen. The more I was working on it, it just scared me because it did not have a single resemblance to her. I'm building and building those tones to at least where I don't cringe at it every single time I see it. And this took more than 25 minutes and it was only the first layer. And I had to move on to the rest of the body. But oh my God, it was so hard to ignore that face. And but anyways, I was starting with the white t-shirt and I haven't painted much fabric at all. I mean, I've only done portraits and not half body photos. So this whole piece was a huge step for me. And the tones of her t-shirt were extremely light purple with hints of pink, blue, and warm gray in the shadows. And getting those colors were exciting because I just loved the pinkish purple filter on this photo, and the t-shirt really embodies that. Moving on to the lower body parts, the arms, the stomach, they were easy to do. The only concern was the hands, just like the face. They're both parts I haven't painted as small as this, so when I was first cropping the photo, I was really debating whether to crop out the hands or keep them in. Like, I genuinely did not want to draw them, but I decided to because I wanted to know if I could do it, and I'm glad I did. I'm really glad I did because they look pretty good later on. But anyways, I cropped a little bit off the top, and before I moved on to the third layer, I tried to fix the face, moving the lips and the eye. I don't know why I did that. It's honestly a waste of time since I'm gonna fix it here now. But here's the third layer where I use a smaller brush. And I mean, the transformation is just what I needed. I made the lips align more, got the right color for them. The reddish orange shadows around and under her mouth, they're blending into the chin and blending the purple shadows onto the pinker highlight of her cheekbone on the right side. All of this matters, but the eyebrow and the eye makeup, like, they matter more because it has to look like the reference. But I loved how there was also this very little orange red that very simply like blended under her eye and also around the face as well. It's such a small element of the reference, but it could really make the shadow seem much more natural. And I was loving how this was turning out, and then my concern went away. But this was a lot easier to paint, unlike the bigger face. But of course that only applies digitally because I can zoom in. But anyways, here's me for the hands. It wasn't too difficult. It was fun to figure out how dark the space between the fingers should be, the lines on the fingers as well. Again, making it look natural but not too dark where the folds look way too harsh. And then the hands here for this layer, I had to stop myself multiple times to try not to go into too much detail because that would make it look like a finished study, and then I'm not to that layer yet. Like, I still have other layers made for that. So that's why the skin and the t-shirt look very scratchy. And a part of me actually likes it a little bit more than the final piece. I don't know why, but I just really love how you can see the cross hatching or the lines more than the fully blended stuff. The t-shirt was the most difficult. I mean, there are barely any wrinkles. The two main ones across her chest, I knew those were going to be really difficult to blend into the rest of the pure bright white around it because it has to be a hard shadow that causes a wrinkle, but yet it has to be soft to blend in. The hair on top of the shirt, it was so annoying to draw because it was so hard to concentrate on which strand is which. This hair was my enemy. I genuinely thought it was going to take 20 minutes very quickly. I was so wrong. This took me more than an hour, probably because I kept looking and stopping at the screen every single 5 minutes thinking, why is this taking so long? Like, this was so embarrassing. This whole part felt like a chore to me. I had no fun at all. I mean, it looks good, very dramatic, especially that one strand of hair over her face. I mean, I love it, and it makes the whole original photo. And but oh my gosh, I'm so glad it's all black hair, so I don't have to worry about it. But anyways, as you see me finishing up the hair, I'll do the final layer, pretty much blending everything together or fixing everything in the background too. But anyways, I'll move on. So on to the album review of BRAT by Charli xcx. It's her sixth studio album released earlier this June. It's electronic club pop dance genre. She does have this great reputation for delivering great albums with a fresh sound for pop. But to be honest, I don't roll with this genre. This album was getting lots of great reviews, gaining that classic album status, so I definitely was interested. But this album was fantastic. It was diverse. And this album was short though, with 15 tracks with 41 minutes, but most tracks were less than 3 minutes. And then the first opening track, 360, is so great. Her confidence, her tone, that chorus is so addictive. Lyrics such as, when you're in the mirror, do you like what you see? And when you're in the mirror, you're just looking at me. And 666 with a princess streak, it's so good. It has the same confidence she carries with herself with the next track, Club Classics, but also including her friends. And this one's enjoyable, but I definitely prefer other songs on here. Like the next track, Sympathy is a Knife, one of the best out of the album. Just love how hard that chorus drops with her vocals and how upbeat the production, contrasting her confession of securities she's sharing. I mean, her and also her hating the pity that comes with it. I mean, this song is probably the best example to the overall concept she's sharing. I mean, it's a great track, but the next track, the fourth one, the I Might Say Something Stupid, I don't like it, but it does have some beautiful lyrics talking about her social anxiety at a party when she's famous. Lyrics like, I look perfect for the background. I mean, it's very vulnerable to put in a song, but this song style is not for me. And it's also the same with tracks like Talk Talk, along with Rewind, Apple, and So I. It just reminds me of those club songs from the early mid 2010s, excluding Apple. I mean, I still love her songwriting in them. She's still continuing the theme of her confessions. And then the sixth track, Von Dutch, I mean, it's iconic. Love the production in this one. The alarm, high-pitched type sounds, the effect on her voice, it's so rich in flavor. And then the next track is Everything is Romantic. I mean, I just love her verses of describing simple sceneries or routines that can hold a lot of value when you're in a relationship. And the repetition in the second half with subtle production changes, it's just beautiful. And then the 10th track is Girl So Confusing. And it's just great. Her talking about her being uncomfortable with meeting with Lord, another artist, because of her overthinking, combined with the deep electronic sound in the background. It's just so dramatic and well done. But I will say, I don't like the chorus at all. The autotune, it's just not for me. And then the next two tracks, Back to Back and Mean Girls, they're great club songs with classic drops and build-ups. It's simple and effective. The next track, I think about it all the time, the 14th track, it's the weakest song sound-wise. I mean, it's only the lyrics that actually serve a purpose towards the concept of the album. That's all I can really say. The last track is 365, a remix of the opening track 360, and one of the best of the album. The alien-like sounds, I mean, a lot of seasoning on this song. Is such a strong song to finish off the album. This album is addictive. Her songwriting is intriguing. It's simple yet it hits. I love the theme she had. It's club bangers with some confessions mixed in, talking about her insecurities, friendships, her fame, or when she wants to become a mother. I mean, the only criticism I would really have is that sometimes the production sounded predictable at times, but that may be because it's dance, electronic music, and I do only like about half of the album, 8 out of 15 tracks, my bad. And some tracks were not for me, but they were still great, or I just really didn't like them at all. Best tracks for me were 360, Sympathy is a Knife, Von Dutch, and finally 365. The weakest, of course, sound-wise, were Talk Talk, I think about it all the time, and Rewind. This is a 8.5 out of 10 overall, and it's gonna stay in my rotation for a long time. I'm really glad I went out of my usual music taste to review this one. I mean, let me know what you think about this album. Is this a classic for you, or is it too early to define it as a classic? But yeah, here's the original versus the study I did. I realized I made it more warmer tone. The head should be a little bit tilted to the left. You know, I always like to acknowledge what can be better in these final comparisons, but I'm still happy with this one. I didn't even think I would be able to do it in the first place. But yeah, here's more close-ups to the face, the hair, and then the t-shirt, the hands. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching.